Hello, today's date is January the 13th, 2015. It's about 12:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's morning, and this message goes out to a YouTuber by the name of Truth and Everything, or Truth with Everything. I'll get the name right when I look at it, but I think it's Truth and Everything, and he's a MGTOW. I've watched and listened to a few of your. I don't really watch your videos because there's not much to watch. It's just mostly dialogue. So, I've done videos in the past. I'm out there. My name is Steve Hoca'a. Don't really find a need to hide my face or, hide behind avatars or false. I know there's a lot of these MGTOW guys are just really skittish about showing their face on camera. I don't know what the big deal is, but anyways, it's Truth in Everything. Or with everything, I'm going to just sum up what the whole message is about. I noticed that you obviously are, your target audience is the MGTOW or MGTOW audience, been going their own way, and I noticed that you center, like you try to create this like scientific approach to success by telling people they got to follow these 47-step process. And you take on this kind of this robotic demeanor in your videos, and I mean, they put. I don't want to say. I'm 44 years old, and I can honestly tell you that all of this self-help stuff is all fine and good, but it's just, you got to take it for a grain of salt. You're telling your target audience that since women, the basic premise of what you're saying is that since you're a man going your own way and women don't find you attractive, you need to get on your path and work on self-improvement. And, I'm starting to think, at my age, I am into self-improvement. I'll talk about this shortly, but I really don't think that you need to be giving this advice based on a bunch of regurgitated Nightingale Conant garbage that for years I used to listen to. I went through the whole self-help thing about, getting motivated and studying this course and listening to this DVD, or before that it was cassette courses. I've got tons of Nightingale Conant stuff. I got Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley, Jim Rohn. I've listened to just tons of these guys, Earl Nightingale. All of this stuff is all fine and good, but you got to take it for a grain of salt, because if this stuff really, if people could really plan their life like a self-help course, then I mean, it would be just, there would be nobody, you'd take the course once and you'd be fine with it. It's impossible to plan your life around this thing, and age is about the only real thing that humbles the soul. And I don't know what your age is. I'm listening to your videos. I'm thinking you're probably about 25 years old. I've got 19 years on you, if that's the case. And you're singing this tune about self-improvement and pumping iron and all this other jazz. I'm an elite marathon runner. I'm in the top, I'm in the top 2% overall of finishers. But if you put above the 40 age range, I'm in the top 0.3%. I blow the competition away. I run 16 miles a day. I did really good this year. I ran 3 sub-3 marathons and 1 right at 3 hours and 41 seconds. You can look my statistics up. It's on marathonguide.com. You can look under Stephen, Stephen, Hoca'a, Hoca. I'm out there. I'm not hiding from anything. But that type of self-improvement is what works for me. But you got to take it for a grain of salt, because self-improvement isn't gonna, you got to understand that whatever self-improvement you do, it's not going to garner you external validation from people. I've pretty much learned that being a marathon runner and being in the elite, small person, I'm actually shooting to be a much more elite. I have goals I want to set on that too, but I really think that you're kind of like, you're trying to tell guys that they need to follow this plan and get on your plan and do all this stuff. And I don't know whether what you're really trying to do is validate yourself, and you're talking to yourself. I mean, it's almost like you're trying to get validation. You're telling yourself what to do, and you want to get validation from other people to say, hey, this guy's right about what he's saying and all this stuff. This whole self-improvement thing, Like I said, I'm going to do an entire series on this whole self-improvement gig. I spent years of my life, going through this whole self-improvement thing with all these different, self-help courses. And, one thing I've learned about self-improvement gurus is that when you actually meet successful people in life, like if you meet Joe Blow, or Joe Shugabowski, the transmission repair guy who's got his own shop, almost none of these guys that run successful businesses or improve themselves have ever heard of these famous gurus that you're probably acquainted with like I was. It seems that successful people just kind of get on this path because they're at the right place at the right time. Dad might have owned a machine shop, or dad might have owned a business which you were able to take the business over and perfect it and make it better. These things, most of what people's success in life is luck. A lot of it is luck. Now, marathon running, I will say that once you establish, like in my particular venue, you're into this pumping iron stuff. I don't think it impresses females at all. That's another story. I think that I guess the gist of what you're saying about your self-improvement with your pumping iron is that it somehow makes women get all hot and bothered. I think that's a bunch of crap. I go to the gym with these guys, and they're just as doofusy as the other guys that don't get women, or that aren't in physical fitness. But when you set these goals, you got, like I said before, you got to take it for a grain of salt, because most successful people have never heard of these gurus. Okay, you don't become, the advice that you're giving to people isn't going to be something that was required for them to become successful. Successful people are people that we would call successful, people that, quote, as you'd say, get on their path, already have established that without having to go on these long-winded self-help courses or listening to advice like what you're giving, or what Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, all these motivational quacks are giving. They just kind of get on their path and just do it. Right now, my marathon running, I'm just on my path. I'm not really trying to go out there and get on some structured motivational marathon course. How to get better at marathon running by listening to this motivational CD and all this stuff. No, I just kind of do it. I go to the gym. I've established it. I've hardwired in my head that I've got to do 8 to 10 miles a day at the gym, and then I do mostly treadmill training right now because it's cold here in Northeast Ohio. And then I get home and I have a gym quality treadmill, and I do about 6 to 8 to 10 miles depending on how many miles are left for the day. And I split my workload up into 2 parts, and I just get on the path and do it, dude. I don't think that you need to be telling people this 27-step process of how they need to be successful. Another thing I was going to say about setting these goals. I'm sorry, I'm bumping my camera a little bit. I got it on a pillow here. But the problem that I also have with these goals, giving people advice, is that people's lives are too dynamic. I mean, you like Zig Ziglar is saying, you got to have goals. You got to have goals. And he's this Mississippi-born hillbilly that used to be a salesman, and then he just passed away about 2 years ago. But the guy is like, now I'm starting to believe what a quack he is, because he's telling everybody you got to have goals, and he gives all this anecdotal information that has got nothing to do with people really following any plan other than just kind of getting on their own, doing what they feel they got to do to make it become successful. And it's not a matter of following some self-help guru. I spent years of my life, dude, listening to all these motivational speakers on cassette tapes, and I've been able to decipher through the bullshit and realize that what they're regurgitating is just a lot of feel-good stuff that you have no control over. Like setting goals. Okay, fine, you set goals. You got to remember one thing about setting goals. You can set goals all you want to, but there's always things that get in the way. You've got elderly parents that get sick. You've got car accidents. If you're an athlete, you've got injuries. You've got all these things that can throw all your goals in a total tailspin. And I know somebody's going to say, well, the statistical odds of that happening are very slim. No, they're not. Let me tell you something. I have set goals in the past too. Right now, I'm telling you, I'm very successful with my marathon training, but I can tell you right now, I've had 3 or 4 times where I've injured myself and ligaments where I was out for 3 to 4 months. And I'm telling you, all that training can be up in the air. It can be, you could break a leg and never run again. I know a guy that's finally had his knees replaced. He is never going to run again. Of course, this guy beat the crap out of his knees on hard pavement, and he did some not so good things that I would have never done. I would have trained a little. I would have trained on softer ground, or would have trained on a treadmill more. But you know, all these goals you have can be offset. All this motivational feel-good crap. I've gone down, and I'm 44 years old, dude. I know you're not 44 years old. You sound like you're about 25. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't respect the fact that I'm older than you, that's your problem. But I'm a lot older than you, and I've gone full circle with the whole motivation. I've been reading these self-help books, not consistently, because of course you go through stages in your life, and that's another thing. You don't know what you're going to be doing a year from now, or 5 years from now. I can't guarantee that 2-3 years from now I'm going to definitely 100% be running competitive marathons. I don't know that. I might just get sick of it and say no. But I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich when I was 17 going on 18 years old. I read Psycho-Cybernetics when I was 16 or 17 going on 18 years old. That's that book by Maxwell Maltz. I've read books on self-confidence, all that other stuff. I'm telling you right now, you go through these phases, and I think that you're trying to validate yourself through all this structured goal-setting stuff. And I'm telling you, it's all fine. I'm glad that you pump iron. You've got this big fetish with this whole pumping iron crap. This is another thing with MGTOWs that drives me nuts is this. You need to get ripped, dude. You need to get ripped. The last thing, if you're a sexually frustrated MGTOW and you're not getting any, the last thing you need is testosterone. I have 0 testosterone. I have the sex drive of a 90-year-old man on his deathbed. That's how low my sex drive is, because I run. And I am doing just the opposite. If you are a MGTOW in your reasoning, which is 90% of MGTOWs become MGTOW in the beginning because of sexual or romantic female rejection in a physical sense, the last thing you need to be doing is pumping iron and driving your testosterone through the roof, only to find out that women still think you're ugly and unattractive, dude. I'm telling you, I've like I said, I go to the gym with these meatheads all the time, and I see these big muscle dudes. Now, some of them I respect because some of them don't take the steroids. They look really, really good. I compliment these guys all the time because I have people compliment my running, and they're like, wow, man, you're pretty awesome. I compliment people where if I guys on steroids, I probably just kind of pretend. I just don't really say much, but I've seen a few guys that are really buff, but they're not out for the pussy. They're out to do it for their own good. And I think that the advice you're trying to give is that guys need to go to the gym and get ripped so that they can impress females. And it's crappy advice. It really is. And you don't want to be bursting at the seams with testosterone only to find out that women don't find you attractive, and then you're out there and looking big, muscular, badass. The only thing that really pays to be muscular as far as impressing females is if you already have a good-looking face. You look like Zac Efron. It don't matter what your physical disposition is. Shit, you might be able to be missing a limb and you look like Zac Efron or Kellen Lutz or something. You got the pretty boy look. And those guys are exceptionally good looking. I know they're not the norm, but that's what Hollywood in Madison Avenue promote these people, because they're just so out of reach from the average person. So all I'm going to say is your self-help advice, I take it for a grain of salt. I've gone full circle with it. I listen to self-help books, hundreds, maybe 2,000. Well, I won't say 2,000. I would say probably 1,500 hours of self-help tapes in my lifetime, and that includes re-listening to the same one. So I was just going to say that I'm not going to spend 45 minutes going over this stuff. Your life is too dynamic to base it on a self-help course. Take the self-help crap for what it is. Next time you meet a guy who's successful in a business, ask them if they know 5 of these